a good start with dropping the water. You actually see you shouldn't touch them with your fingers.
Yeah, well, here we are. We've already rebuilt the crank,
Hang on
but
there.
Absolutely.
we're just fitting the rods now. And as you can see, need to have lots of oil.
And then the tabs always go together.
Okay, see, that's a good thing to remember.
The important thing is to make sure you put the rods the right way around so the lugs are together. And then when you torque them up to 15 foot-pounds for all the Dominators. These are super blind bearings that Scott's got. You can saw the one there, and this is now we're into the breather disc in the spring, which you got to pop in the hole for the camshaft.
A shoulder and a washer that goes on there.
This is an SS camshaft, not the stock camshaft, so that you got to adjust the tappet clearances to suit. So you make sure the lugs line up on the end of the cam there.
Fit, which is because there's nothing holds this bearing
and
on.
then this is a super blind bearing on there. It's got to be a press fit on there, or else it's not going to work because there's nothing holds it on.
Behind it with a puller to get it off.
Oh, I'm sure
you need
it
a
is.
puller with a kind of a knife.
And this one on this side, the timing gear and everything holds it together, so it's not usually quite so tight. And just make sure the cam bushings and everything are oiled, and this is putting the jointing on the crankcase. This stuff seems to work better than anything else I've ever come across. It doesn't dry in a hurry, so it gives you lots of time to piece it together.
Okay.
I always like to put the bolts and studs in the mount holes for the engine plates, just to be you're ready to mount it in the frame. And it just holds everything together nice. And then we'd mount that in a little fixture for working on it.
I did 30 years ago.
You can see I've got the rods marked right and left there. It's always good to put things back together the way they come apart. And you didn't see it there, but a round disc goes on before that piece with the 3 corners on it. And then you got the keyway. It's always nice to have a little chamfer on the leading edge of the keyway. It makes it easier to get the gear lined up. And that's just the engine sprocket. We've got to put that on. So we can fit the timing disc later on. And that way we can turn it. This is boiling water here to heat up the pistons, so the wrist pins will slide in a lot easier. There's still something's a bit of a battle, but these are still new old stock pistons. It's original pistons for the engine, which is quite sound. It just lasted a long time. Use that's a gear going on.
I don't think it's a mile away. We'll see.
You need to make sure you got lots of oil on the small end bushing before you put the pins in. And then just use that's actually a removing tool, but it's handy just to push them in the last little bit. You always got to make sure you got all those clips right in place, or else you're going to have a big mess. That's oiling the cam followers there before we put the barrel on. When you're doing the pistons, you always want to put a bit of oil on the camshaft as well, on the lobes for the cam.
Oh,
These are a real nice style of piston ring clamp, because they're once you get the barrel on, you just do the clips and they come off real easy rather than playing around with nuts and bolts and stuff.
take care of that.
You put the gasket on first, put sealer on the bottom, and then you put the sealer on the bottom of the barrel.
In case we lose that stuff, any of that stuff off the top.
And you just try and slide everything down nice, keep everything nice and square and even, so both sides go down together. And there you go, and that went really good. It doesn't always go that good. And you just got to get the clamps out of there. Move it steady, and that would be it.
Yeah. Oh, you mean they're a smaller diameter. I think they said
Sometimes you've got to leave the barrel up a little bit to get the nuts on. I'm not sure with this one if we had to or not, but
and anyway, so
That's right. It all settles a little.
evenly.
as long as they're tight.
Now we're on the
The
timing
dots here,
gears,
you've
and
got to
the
have
timing,
different
the
pins
two
in
gears
the
are
dots.
marked, so you can't go wrong there, and then you've just got to make sure you've got 10
The dots are
pins
basically
between the
just lining
dots on
up
the sprockets there
the same
for,
width as
for
2,
your valve
4, 6,
timing.
8, 10. So then your 2 dots and then your mark on the.
There's
only
usually a
got
hard
line up
washer
with the
goes
gear.
on before that
You've only got
center
one
gear.
key to worry about here.
I don't know if we can see it there or not, but yeah.
You need a hand? You're fine.
That can go. That will just leave hanging. And put on this.
That's the old-fashioned tensioner. You get new ones with rubber pads on, but I've never used them. I don't know if they're. I don't think there's anything wrong with the original ones. They seem to work just fine.
The later ones are all like your early commandos and that. When they just have this chain, everything is moved further in. So that your camshaft sprocket is this one here. That way, yeah. No, but what's what putting that? Yeah, it's quite a.
It's a housing for a distributor.
I'm ready to eat it. There we go. You should have a.
And that's the sprocket's just held on
That's
with a
everything
pin
there.
there.
What's the end play in it? There's no another.
You just got to squeeze them in.
There it goes.
And you got to make sure you have about 3/16 play in your chains there, both of them, and that's in the tightest spot. Sometimes you'll find you'll have a tight spot and a loose spot on them, so you always make sure it's in the tightest spot. You have the 3/16 of play.
Oh.
Okay.
It's the left-hand thread there. That's the worm gear for the oil pump.
No, it might move it.
That's
I can
checking
see
the
where that
clearance
one's
again.
because it's got a crack in there.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is just an old beat-up cover just used to hold things in place.
We're just getting it
And
closed.
this is the timing disc, so we can get the ignition timing real accurate.
You degrees.
Now, this is the best way to center it. You just turn the
See
engine
how far out
clockwise
I
or
was looking at it
anti-clockwise
when I get
first
for it?
and check your reading, and then
Here, it's like
turn it the
70.
opposite,
Yeah.
and you
Probably
should get the
15
same
degrees
reading
out.
when it's
Forward there.
your zero is right on. It's like we got about 25 thou both ways, so that's 25 degrees both ways, so that's as good as we're going to get it.
That's it right there.
32 degrees before.
It's gonna help.
Then we've got the you check the timing with the full advance, so you got to hold the rotor down against the well, so you just want to get the points just starting to open 32 degrees, and then we can just check them with an ohm meter to make sure it's you get a bit more accurate.
Used to get the
Oh, that
really
makes
fine
sense.
The
bit of
old-fashioned
paper
way
in the
used to be a cigarette paper between the points, but this is a way more accurate.
So that's the chain's going to be tighter.
This is a lot easier than a magneto, because with the magnetos you don't have much adjustment. You've just got to make sure you get the sprocket
Had
in
to
the
take
right
this
place.
off and set up in the grinder and just ended up taking a couple of thou off it. Put it back together again, and you start to gauge it
The
with a
oil
feeler.
pump going on now.
You know,
You got to remember the little oil seal in the middle there, or else you're not going to get any oil pressure.
yeah, not much though. You can't.
Remember too.
I like to just then we put the crank at bottom
Yeah,
dead
well,
center
people
and
talk
fill it
about
up with oil before we put the
kicking
cover
over
on,
to the oil returning to the tank, but
and that makes sure it's got lots of
I don't
oil
think
when
ever
you
need to
start it
worry
up.
about doing that. But
So is the pistons at the bottom?
yeah, because then tightened everything.
I've just got to get some oil in there.
You can see fiber washers under the screws there. Sometimes they're not the best. It's better if you can make up some copper ones. I've always done that in the race bikes, and
Oh, and you think the amount of pressure you get on with an Allen key, right? Is
Yeah.
they tend to stay.
So this should go back. The way
Just
they
need to
came
put a
out.
bit of sealer around the push
You
rod
just hope the
tunnel
guy-
just so you don't get any oil leaking out of there. And the same for the little hole at the back, the drain hole. Just put a little bit of sealer
Carrying
around
it
there.
off.
And then you just oil the top of the followers and pop the push rods in place.
Yeah, the oil actually sticks it. You feel the gum forward.
And then oil the
Thing.
ends of
Just
the push rod, and then the head's ready to go on.
Push rod doesn't.
A bit of a fiddle sometimes getting everything in place, all the push rod. You want to make sure they are in place, or else you can end up bending the push
Oh,
rod.
you gotta make sure they're all down. That makes sense.
Rod nuts.
You'll find
Stop
one
getting it
side
run
that's
from where
open a
it
little
should be.
bit, they touch fine, and then the other side you want to put on a rubber band to hold them in place.
That should be them taken care of. This guys will have all kinds of play. Should be good. Looks good.
We must have modified these
This one is
screws because they
fine. This is
normally have a
one that's
little
got
square on there, and they just used to have got a slot in it.
Exhaust shorter at the front.
You can see the rubber band there to hold them in place, so
these guys up
that
a
saves
bit.
you a lot of grief.
Oh, and then you take the elastic band off.
Make sure they're
Best way to check everything's going up and doing the way it should. When you come to adjust the tappets, you've got to watch, because it's with an SS cam that the settings are different from the stock cam. So it's 3 thou and 5 thou for the stock cam and 6 and 8 for an SS cam. And there it goes.
Oh, there it goes.
Good to make sure the oil is returning, and then we've got a gauge on it as well to check the pressure, just to make sure. You should have at least 70 pounds when it's And once you've had it running, it's cooled down again. You want to tighten all the barrel nuts and the head bolts, and then go over the tappets again. And then you're good to go.